Okay, welcome to this lesson where we are talking about the 3 beliefs you keep proving true. This is absolutely critical to understand if you want to make changes in any area of your life, but especially when it comes to dating. So really want to take some time to understand this and really let it sit in how much impact that this has. Now, whether it's true or not, your brain will find proof of what you already believe. And one of the reasons for that is because of this piece of software called our RAS, our reticular activating system. What that does is it filters what you see and what you ignore. So there's so much information coming into your brain at any one time. Consciously, you can't process it all. So what you're aware of in any one moment is different to what is actually coming into your brain. It's all dependent on what you expect to see, what your beliefs expect you to see, and those choices that your brain's making for you of what to show you, essentially. So the key here is what you see on any moment or any given experience of your life, especially with dating, isn't reality. It's carefully organized based on the expectations of the brain, what you're already believing, and that means there's a cognitive bias, right? And the more we can understand that, the more we can kind of challenge it and really start to see what is there if we look with a different lens. Maybe the stories we have about people aren't always true. Maybe the stories we have about dating aren't true, and thus we can get different results. So, quick exercise. You may have already done this, but indulge me anyway. If you just look around you for the next 10 seconds, I want you to find everything that is the color red. Okay, let's just try it now. So, book, pen, tarot. Perfect. Now, if you close your eyes, tell me everything that you saw that was blue. Chances are you may have seen one or two things, but the likelihood is that you really have missed a lot there, right? If you open, have a look at it now and see, there'll be a lot of blue or whatever color it is. You just weren't looking for it. And that's how the RAS works. You give it something to look for, a belief, a filter, or something that you want to prove true. It will find the evidence of that, but it selectively ignores everything else, right? Really important to understand this is how our brains work in everyday life. We have these shortcuts, these things we want to be true. We're always proving them, whether it's right or it's wrong. So, you rarely notice what you're looking for. And the brain's obviously not just filtering colors, it's busy proving our stories, our beliefs at any one time. So this is how self-fulfilling prophecies are actually made, okay, in dating and in life. Your brain's filtering what you notice to confirm what you already believe. It's ignoring everything that contradicts it. And then it unconsciously actually encourages you to act in ways that protect the belief, even if those actions sabotage you, even if it's not great for you, even if it's not fulfilling, as we were talking about before in an earlier lesson. So, why? Because being right, staying safe, and repeating the familiar is better than risking the unknown to that survival brain. And another way of thinking about this is people would rather be right than happy. And the reason for that is our brains love it. We want to be safe and certain because that's survival, right? We're not wired for this happiness that we're all talking about and all desperately wanting. That's a more recent thing in humanity because of taking care of all those basic needs. But the brains haven't caught up with it. Our survival brain hasn't caught up. So what do we do with this? We just need to understand it because we can leverage it and we can make it work for us. So this is the kicker of it all. Beliefs are not facts. That's why they're beliefs, right? Facts are facts. Beliefs are completely different. We just treat them like they're facts because over time we put enough evidence around something using this tool of the RAS to confirm it, and then we ignore all the other counter evidence and it just becomes this fact that we live our life with. But it's not, right? It is still a belief. It's not 100% true. In dating, what we want to know, right, getting to the point, there are 3 beliefs that run the show for you. What you believe about yourself, what you believe about men or women, depending on your situation, and what you believe about dating/love in general, right? These are the 3 things that are creating your results, whether you like it or not. So let me put this into context to you and explain how this worked for me, right? Before I met my wife, before I got married, had a kid, and went through, basically experienced all the good things that could happen after I went through all my pain. So my belief was I wasn't attractive enough. Okay, I had all these stories about the size of my nose, not being, at one point I thought I was too brown. I grew up in a very white area. Obviously, I'm not that tall. I'm about 5'8", at push, probably with some heels. And, I had a lot of body dysmorphia issues. So I had this story, I'm not attractive enough. I started to believe that women only like bad guys. Okay, this was a huge belief for me when I was younger. And then the third thing, my belief about dating or love in general is that people I like don't like me back. Okay, I really developed that very strongly. And the thing for me, it was about being friend zoned. Like if I like someone, I'm going to get friend zoned. So every time I met someone, these three beliefs were running, okay, about myself, about women, and about dating and love in general. So I only ever noticed things that proved them true. I wasn't looking for counter evidence. And I was hyper focused on my looks, and I always felt not good enough. Even when someone complimented me, I was more looking at any kind of comments, or even just reading into a glance, let's say, or any reflection in my mirror, anything like that. I was just hyper focused on it, and I started to spin stories that they don't like me because of this. I assumed that bad guys win, and I ignored any evidence that didn't fit my story. So I was always looking for situations where an idiot, let's say idiot, like a really horrible guy in my mind was with a nice girl that I perhaps could like. But if there were any situations or couples where it wasn't like that, I wasn't paying attention to it. And I would read into everything as proof that I wasn't wanted. So, whether it was texting delays or not being responded to straight away, or not getting kind of the adulation that I wanted, whatever it was, I'd find a way to just make it proof that if I liked someone, they didn't like me back. The result, very simple: sabotage, rejection, and pain. And none of it was 100% fact, right? Those three things that we're talking about, they weren't 100% true. They were just stories that I had enough evidence for at one point, enough pain, that I was clinging on to them. They became an identity level thing for me, and my brain wanted them to be true in a way, because it's easier to accept that, and then it just becomes a part of who you are. So, and the thing to remember here is when you have these three stories, without going too deep, you don't want to change them because it's scary to change them. You don't know what it looks like without them. And in my case in particular, what it really did was it became a mechanism of self-rejection. So I would reject myself before anyone else reject me to avoid pain. Okay, so there's always benefit to having these stories in terms of safety, certainty, and avoidance of pain. But the reality is you will prove those stories true. So if they're not aligned to what kind of relationship you want, what kind of life you want to live, you have to identify them and then work on replacing them. But now let's go over to you. What I'd love to understand is, for you, one honest sentence for each. What do you believe about yourself, in dating in particular? What do you believe about men? Okay, this is going to be a big one for some people, right? I know for a fact, knowing some people in this group, there's some strong beliefs about men. I'm not saying they're not true in some aspects as well. Remember that, right? We're not saying there's no elements of truth. We're saying they're not 100% facts. And the more you realize that, and you can then choose what part of it do I want to spend more time on. What do you believe about yourself in dating and love? Okay, no judgment, just awareness, because these beliefs are the GPS that you're driving with, right? They're taking you to this place, whether you like it or not. Left unchecked, they become your truth. So if you use this properly, what we can do in the next few weeks is we can actually reframe them and create positive self-fulfilling prophecies. But first steps first, fill out the attached worksheet in this lesson, right? And I'd really encourage you just to share your insights, anything that came up during this lesson, anything that really resonates with you or that you maybe are surprised by, share it with the group, because this is where we're going to get the most value. Now, I've been open and vulnerable with you to share my stuff. I've got new ones as well in other areas of my life. What I believe in business and what I believe in personal relationships. Let's get it out there. Let's have an open discussion, because this is a very powerful exercise that can genuinely transform your dating life. Have some fun with it though. Let me know your thoughts, and I look forward to seeing some of the responses in the group.